Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I took a bit of a break, was on holiday with the family, and I just took it easy this first few weeks of 2023. I haven't really been trading here and there, not really NASDAQ that much. I was kind of checking out some other things as well. But I think now's a good time to come back and because there's been some developments that I want to go through. I'll just catch up from the last video that I posted with those confluences in that area that I pointed out before and what I'm looking for going forward now. So as we can see guys, we've broken out of the downtrend line. Now this is on the regular scaling, right? Not the logarithmic scaling. And we have several confluences now where we at. Let me throw in this trend line here and go down to the daily. So as we can see, we've now broken out of a trend line where we had resistance, not quite, resistance, resistance. What normally happens when we break out of resistance, we come back and test that resistance as support. Now, will it hold? We'll have to see. What else do we see in this area here? Because this is an area of interest that I'm going to be looking at now, right? We have this Fibonacci area, right? We tapped the 61.8 and bounced off of there. Didn't come quite close the second time as I expected it to. But now this 50 level on the Fibonacci, we can look, just take a look back here and see that it also gave us some levels of resistance, support, 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 but also reacted as resistance, 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 right? So we have that now going for us, that there's a potential support area for us to look at over here. Just mark this area for. Let's go down to the smaller time frames. As you can see, then we have this trend line over here. Where we found support and support, right? So this is the first scenario that I'm looking at right now. This is my area of interest. If you draw these out on your charts, remember this is the regular scaling. So I'm looking at this area of support. Support could be potential support. This area of support, support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance could be potential support. We have this major counter trend line of resistance, 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 potentially forming support. And then we can see whether this thing now intends on forming support, and maybe we continue higher. We'll have to see. Right? So this is scenario A. This is what I'm looking at. This is my first area of interest here. So let me say like this rather. So we've now listed those confluences in this area. Let's see what further confluences we can get. If we take some, let's put the anchored VWAP on this low, acted as support, resistance, and gave us support at this bounce over here. Behaved quite nicely. So I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna keep that one there right now. I think I'll put one down below this low. Also form nice support there. So that would have been a double whammy if you were trading. Counter trend line. Boom. And also this horizontal support. Resistance, 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 support, support. Right? I missed that. Kind of stings looking at it like this. But okay, that's all said and done. I also think there's a possibility, let me just draw this little trend line in here, that maybe, you know, it squeezes back in here. Maybe it wants to come and test this quick and then close back above there and then takes off. Maybe it takes its time, right? So just keep that in mind. This is just an area of interest. I'm listing the confluences as to why I'm looking at this area, right? So this is what I'm looking at. Potential area number 1. However, we do have some big divergences here, man, which I'm going to speak about next now. Right? What is the potential of this being a bull trap? The reason I say that is because, you know, this area is a very obvious area to sell from, right? What if this is a push above? Because like right now the rumor is the Fed is going to hike at 0.25% next week, like around this, is it the 1st or 2nd of February, right? So that's what the market is anticipating. So that's why we're having this bullish run. But what if the Fed comes through and they say, nah, higher, or whatever the case may be, and disappoint the markets? We also have GDP, I think now on Thursday, and its earnings. So I bring that up just to say you have to be careful when you're trading, because there's some things that might throw, you know, what is the saying again now? Anyway, they might mess up the plans or completely nullify these confluences. But for now, this is what I'm looking at. Let me check something here. Sorry. Yeah, this was a spectacular entry if you got in here. All those confluences I mentioned earlier, and then support, 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 resistance, resistance, support, support. Sorry, don't mean to go back to that again. My chest is burning a little bit now. So guys, is this now it? Are we bullish for the rest of the year? Or at least up until the end, mid-year? Maybe we want to go back up to these areas. I mean, this high or a lower high, who knows, but will we be bullish? Now, I would say that last year, the market traumatized me a little bit. Because, you had to learn new things. You had to stay trade, scalp. There wasn't really holding the trades, all of that jazz. So with that in the back of my mind is why I'm thinking about the possibility of us being screwed here. Because why? It's not like it hasn't done it to us before. We have this trend line of resistance, 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 right? When it came over here, we checked it again, resistance, resistance, and then broke resistance, and testing that previous resistance as support. And then rallied for a bit. I remember I got in here, but I ended up getting tapped out at break even because I was expecting that, okay, trend line is broken, let's go, and then it was a massive bull fake. But 4,500 pips is a lot. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah, 4,500 pip move, which is decent. But yeah, like I said, I ended up getting tapped out at break even because I was expecting it to at least maybe go up to here. Now, I've got that in the back of my brain cells. Broke back below the support. Tested again as support, resistance. And then got a little haywire here. Even this over here. Great entry. This anchored VWAP on this trend line or close to it at least. So I bring this break up over here just to show that yes, it can happen. But like I showed, we first had a rally. I tested it, rallied, and I think that could happen where we're at right now. We could potentially get a pullback, a bounce. I'm going to try and see what further confluences I get. I'm going to look for oversold conditions on the smaller time frames, divergences, etc. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I would also like to maybe potentially see, I'm just showing you guys the confluences and things that I look for. So I've now identified this trend line, this area over here, right, as a potential entry. As we can see, we could be pushing down to this area as we've broken this little trend line here. Support, support, maybe push down, right? Now in this area, what I'm going to look for is, depending on what the movement is going down, I'm going to look for a trend line. So either this thing does something like this, and then you can now draw another trend line in, right? But if it doesn't, and let's say this is the trend line and moves down, I want to wait for that break as well, and then a retest, and then that'll just give me more confidence, more confluences that it's more likely to go my way. Remember, it's not this doesn't constitute any financial advice on whether to buy or to sell. It's purely educational, show you guys what I do. So I'm going to need further assessment if it drops. It could still continue up before the drop, but I believe we will get this pullback at least before continuing up, because we haven't quite tested it. Just rocketed through. So haven't quite tested that trend line. Super overbought. We have bearish divergences, etc. So once again, area of interest number 1. You guys have the confluences. Now, back to the possibility of us having another potential crash, right? So I drew out this main trend line we have here, where we formed support, and I don't want to call this next one quite support yet, because we didn't quite reach it, as you guys can see. And guys, once again, this is the logarithmic scaling, this chart, which is why you'll see some differences. Now what do we have on this chart? Resistance, and now we're coming up against that resistance. So which trend line do we trust? You understand what I'm saying? So I think there's a potential that we do get another push down, and I just want to go over some more reasons as to why that could potentially happen. And those of you that are looking for sells, I think there could be some sellers here. So this is the anchored VWAP from the peak before the corona crash and the bottom of the corona crash, right? Now, as you can see, it's been acting as support and resistance. I'll just take this one away for now, because I want to show you guys these levels clearly. Resistance, 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 resistance. So now we have all that resistance plus this counter trend line, which shows like this on the logarithmic chart, right? All adding up to potential rejection from there. Now it could just push through it also, right? So let's look at the anchored VWAPs from these highs. So here's another level of resistance from that peak. But over here, you see how it kept the market down. Hey, what's happening? You see how it's kept the market down, resistance, 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 resistance. See what I'm saying? So now it's tricky. You see, because we could have a little push up or drop now. Let me go back to this chart, right? And then push up again. To touch this trend line, because it isn't quite there yet. Pop, last push. You understand what I'm saying? However, although this looks like a juicy sell area, potential sell area, if it does reject and we do fall, me personally, I'm gonna wait for a break of this trend line, a retest, and then see if this thing wants to actually come down and finally test the support area. In this area over here, where we also have support from all these lows. Or at the very least potentially test this double bottom. Maybe it'll want to come back down at least to there. We'll have to see. But I think if it does fall, it will potentially fall back down to this trend line. Let's check something here. Now you see this golden pocket area is in this area that I just mentioned. Yeah, so I'd keep an eye on that area as well, if it comes down. So right now, wait, there was something else I wanted to show. Oh yes. Now, this formation, two things could potentially happen here. It could either be a double bottom, neckline, double bottom. Now if you continue and break the neckline, break this counter trend line, and we break that, then I think we could be cooking with grease. Right? And I think we could potentially continue up further. But if it doesn't, this formation could also be a neckline, shoulder, neckline, triple head, neckline, shoulder, here's the neckline. Now if it breaks this trend line and this neckline, then I think that might be a story, different story altogether, right? Remember this area that I pointed out to you guys from the anchored VWAP from the 2008 bottom. Don't mind all these other lines, it's just the anchored VWAP but with the extended, what do you call it? Extended bands, yeah. Let me do this. Okay. So it doesn't look too. So this area that I also show you guys, right, that has kept the market up every time, every crash. Right? Support every time, even the Corona crash. The Corona crash squeezed a little bit through it, but it closed above it as support on a weekly basis. So that's my thing now. This is just a last push into this area. Fake us out the other way again. Now we think, okay, nah, it broke, pull back, it's now done with falling, and then it comes and closes back above like this. I've seen that happen many times, so could be that. We'll have to see when we cross that bridge. For now, we either, like I said, we either now reject from this is the logarithmic chart, right? So we either reject from this resistance area over here. We could potentially confirm it with a break of this trend line, a retest, and then a fall, right? That's the bearish scenario. So that's scenario 2. It's bearish. We reject off all this resistance over here, and we continue to fall. One last push down to finally come and test this trend line, right? Maybe even overshoot it a little bit. I don't know if we want to push all the way down here. We'll have to see, right? Just want to look at another potential confluence quickly. Take this anchored VWAP. So as you can see, even this anchored VWAP, it gave us support with the main VWAP here, and then these extended labels acted as resistance, right? Maybe it was to push up to test the upper band before coming back down again. I'm just speculating there. Let's look at some further confluences here. What do we have? Resistance, 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 resistance. We're rejecting off that resistance now. Further bearish confluence right now. If we take another trend line, place it on this area of support over here, right? What do we have? Support, 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 broken, testing as resistance. If you go down even smaller, right? Let me just clean these up quickly. And then this little trend line here, there is a possibility of, like I said earlier, this push down to test this trend line, another push up into that area, and then another fall potentially. So these are the two scenarios I'm looking at, right? A lot of bearish confluences, getting a little bit, as you see, getting a little bit oversold now. So I'm thinking maybe we have a push down here, get oversold, have a bounce back up into this area. Am I making sense to you guys? Bearish divergences. This peak's higher than this peak over here. Bearish divergence all the way up here. So a lot of bearish divergences. We could still get another boost up into this area. I think that's a possibility. And then maybe come down. Or none of that happens and quite overbought on this 4 hour. But don't have divergence on that. Divergences on the 6 hour, 12 hour, as you can see. Divergence. Divergence. Daily, same thing. Right? Let's get the 4 hour. Did we? Nah. Yeah, you're on the 2 hour. Bearish divergences, so pushing down nice and strong. I would say keep an eye on this area. Another trend line down. I'm gonna rather wait to see if it does bounce, break this, maybe a double bottom on this trend line. These oscillators push all the way down like a bearish type. Those are the things I'm going to be looking for in this area, right? If that doesn't happen, then we could have a possibility of breaking back below and doing that. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, guys, like I say, I'm back now. Just need to shake off the rust a little bit. But should be a good year, man. I'm just hoping for, look, either way it works out for us, right? If it breaks down below again, maybe we get a sell opportunity back down to the trend line. And then if it gets back down to the trend line, we can buy again for cheap, right? But also, if this is now the break out of the bearish market now, out of the bearish trend, right? If this is it, if this is now finally it, then we're in a good position. We're in the buy zone. This is the sell zone underneath this trend line. If this is not a fake out or a bull trap, then we could be in for business as well. So that's what I'm saying. It's dangerous to get stuck on either or. Because this market can do what it wants to. Like I said, the GDP is coming up, and then the Fed meeting. Let me just get this exact date of the Fed meeting is, yeah, 1st of February. Right? Let's look at this S&P. Look at the VIX. Yeah. So the VIX has been rejecting off this area. Right? Resistance, 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 resistance. Now it could push back up, reject off there again, and if it drops, we go up. You know that they always go, how should I say, negative correlation. One goes up, the other goes down. So you can see here it's just gone down, 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 and that's been the up, up, up. So, with that said, either we get a rejection, pushes back down, sending the market up, or we get a break, a retest, and a push up, sending us down. Alright guys, I think I'll just keep it that short. I'll check in again sometime in the week. Remember guys, if you guys are looking for capital for funding, prop firms are there. I've tried many. I've been screwed by, well, one in particular, the prop trading. But FTMO, man, I've been using them for like about almost 2 years now. Always got my payments, no issues, no nothing. I'm actually expecting a payment today. So yeah, I just put my affiliate link in the description. If you guys click on that link, you can get access to up to $400,000 in capital to trade with. So yeah. Alright guys, I hope this information was useful. I hope it helps you guys. Let's just really add a confluence here. Do it this way. Okay. Yeah, so you see this can also add a confluence. This anchored VWAP. You see how it performs with regards to holding support. So now I put an anchored VWAP on this last consolidation area where it broke out of. Close but no cigar. I could move this way, offering potential support before it continues. So I know it's very confusing. The charts are telling me two things, which, you know, if you're a human being, it can send up your anxiety, because it's like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do here now? So that's why I say, like, I'm not just gonna, if I enter, I'm not just gonna enter just because it's here. I'm gonna look for further confluences, more than what we already have. I want this thing to be oversold. I want it to be bearish divergences. I want to see a counter trend line break like this, maybe a double bottom form, and then I'll be now happy. Okay. But if the opposite happens, and let's say, or even if this happens and it pushes up, right, I will then also consider this scenario playing out. Could take us a while. Because my thing is, if we don't push through the support, right? Let's say we find support, we could still go sideways for like a while. Right? It's almost like it's now building up, compressing, then either breaks out up or breaks down that way. Just more speculation. Okay, anyway guys, I hope this information helps you guys become millionaires this year. Trust me, man. Get you some money. I'm also glad I'm back doing these analysis videos because, like I say, man, I've just been feeling like lazy and still just unwinding. So this helps me now. Okay, let me look at these charts because I've just kind of been grazing over them on my phone, etc. Not really analyzing it. But this has been good for me too. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.